Alright, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Copernic's live stream called Galactic Spring. Called that, of course, because spring is the time to observe galaxies. So we're going to do some of that tonight. But first, I want to show you our website here. Again, if you go to copernic.org, you can be up to date on the latest live stream information, including observing streams like this. Tonight, we had Singers of Summer. The cicadas are coming, so if you want to learn about that process, go back and watch tonight's presentation live stream. So that's there for you on our YouTube channel. Upcoming next week, we have a program on Storm Spotter from NWS Skywarm. So you can learn how to get involved in that volunteer program and what it ultimately is about. And Rocket Fest, it is sold out at this point, so you can't register for the program, but I still want to try and get people involved, so I'm considering some live stream of the rockets going off, if we can frame that up right. So we'll see if that pans out. That's a very early idea, but I don't see why we can't make it happen for those who can't attend. Of course, if you go to the very bottom of our site, we have the clear sky chart. You can use this to see what, at least if you live in the Binghamton-Vestal area, what the skies are going to be like around here. And tonight it's looking pretty good. Actually, it looks like it has improved a little. Going around midnight, looked like it was going to cloud up. Now it's saying, maybe not, but we will see what happens. The transparency certainly looks like it's going to take a dive around midnight. But before that, seeing and transparency are looking pretty great, above average, if I remember my color scheme right for this chart. So I'm hoping for some good views of galaxies. I have some stories to share with you tonight as well. I recently came back from a dark sky observing area called Cherry Springs, and I have some imagery to share from you with you from that. And we can also, of course, compare that with what we can get up here, and I'm anticipating we can get some pretty nice shots here at Copernic of those same galaxies I imaged before. So, welcome to the stream. Of course, I welcome you to jump into the chat. We have a really friendly group watching, and let's see. You know, I'm just realizing if I switch over to the all-sky camera view, I think we're a little bit late, but maybe we'll catch the ISS. Actually, yeah, I think that's it flying over right now. Or is that a plane? Yeah, I know, it's blinky. It's a plane. Yeah, that's not what we're seeing right in this region. You can see the three dots. That's indicating a plane instead of a satellite. Satellites would be a steady stream. So tonight I have for you the all-sky camera showing us almost a 180-degree field of view of the sky. The only issue there is it's close enough to the building where we're getting some views of the telescopes, like our 20-inch here and our 14-inch here. The 6-inch is behind this corner. This corner roughly points due north. In fact, you can see Polaris right here, the North Star. So you can take the two stars in the Big Dipper and draw a line out to Polaris. That's the best way to find it. They look like they're similar brightness here, but Polaris is in fact much dimmer, and it's especially its constellation, the Little Dipper, or Ursa Minor, is incredibly dim compared to the Big Dipper. So, a little trick to find Polaris there. So, as if you read the description to tonight's video here, instead of using one of the dome telescopes, I still had it packed up in the back of my car. I decided to bring my scope up, and we're going to try that out this evening and see what we can see through it. I got some really good practice on it while I was on my trip, so I think it's time that we can do some observing directly through that. Now, let's see, do I want to zoom this in one step? No, that's sort of... Yeah, we'll leave it at that. That's good framing for the all-sky camera. Okay. So, with that said, I actually have to go out and align my telescope because it only darkened recently enough to see the stars here. So I needed a Polaris to actually line up my scope and get it situated for observing. So bear with me while I do that. Oh, our director, Drew Desker, is saying that China has successfully landed their rover on Mars this evening. Great. So now Perseverance and the others have a friend, and that's actually really big news. It's the first time, I believe the first time, another country has landed a rover on the surface of Mars. There's certainly been other international, and other countries that have participated and even launched missions to Mars independently. But this would be the first instance of another country landing a rover on Mars, other than the United States through NASA. So that's really cool. Really big news there. So I didn't see the... Let's see, it was in the south. Yeah, if the ISS is going to show up, it's too late now, but I didn't see it in our all-sky camera. Again, I was hoping to get the stream going before the ISS even showed up, but I ran into that same problem we had the last time we ran a stream with the internet. Yeah, I don't see anything now. So I'm going to take care of that light, and I'm going to prep my telescope, and we will see what we can see tonight through that reflector. Again, there's specifications in the description, but it's an 8-inch Newtonian. Some other time I will show you what it looks like. It's too dark now, and it's set up outside, but some other time I'll show you the components to it. It's very similar. The mount is similar to our 6-inch or 14-inch mounts. Those are beefed up, much bigger mounts for much bigger telescopes and heavier scopes. But the principle is the same. And then the telescope is a Newtonian reflector instead of, I believe the 14 is a Schmidt-Cassegrain, and the 6-inch is a refractor, so no mirrors at all on that one, for optical magnification at least. Okay. So I will leave this all-sky camera to you for a few minutes, and see if I always like in the chat, if you see something interesting, like a meteor or a satellite flying over, point it out to everyone so they can try and catch a glimpse or like back up a few seconds, and then you can see what you can see. I'm going to also bump the exposure to 5 seconds now. As the sky continues to darken, we'll be able to see more and more, so I'll bump the exposure to 5, and I'll cover up that light outside so it doesn't interfere with our images as much.
George. How are ya? How was Cherry Springs? Yeah, I was next one. What? Well, I'm looking at okay. All right.
Hello all, we're back. Oh. Okay. So if we're lucky, we can catch a glimpse of the moon here before it sets below our building. That's what we're on now. Let's see here. Bring up that software. Here we go. Oh, I want to catch this before it's too late. Try again. Alright, if that's the case, then it's something on my camera. Let me go fix that. Yes, that one setting was the problem. So we should be able to get it booted now. There it is. And let's see if the moon is still there. I'm worried that it's gotten too low. Ah, it has. Alright, well, backup plan. I do have a backup plan. I have some stories to share here this evening while we wait for the sky to darken. The moon is still going to be a problem for us for a little bit until it sets. It is only a thin crescent, though, so once it gets below our tree line or the horizon, I'll feel pretty comfortable about imaging some deep sky objects like galaxies. But for now, I think we will share some stories from the journey to Cherry Springs. So I have some images to share with you. Let's see what we have. Where it's on the desktop. There it is. Alright, we're going to look at these pictures here in just a sec. I just got to build the source to show you. I love how sometimes, while we have bugs with this software, sometimes I do appreciate how smart it can be. In that I want to share a particular screen, it knows that there's only one new window on my computer, so, we'll just pull that and share that with whoever needs to see it. So, I'm going to bring that down here. Put that down there. Oh, we want to put it above the all-sky camera, though, for a moment. Oops. Beautiful. Okay. Transition away. Alright, so these images that we obtained on our trip. So, for those of you who don't know, Cherry Springs, you could, I just noticed that you can see me live typing in the, that's the studio software that we're using, so that's why you could see the me live edit that screen with the typography. So anyways, we have Copernic here. You know, if you're local, 10-15 minutes away, you can get far enough away from city lights in this Vestal Center area that you can see a really dark sky. You know, as long as there's no moon, you get a significantly dark sky to a degree where you can see galaxies with your eye, and then of course with a telescope you can see all the more. And it ends up being a terrific sky to just observe meteor showers, observe the Milky Way, and it's nice and close by. That's the advantages of Copernic and our facilities. It's accessible to the general public across our area and even beyond that. So we're not trying to kid you, though, that there aren't better skies than Copernic's. You know, you go to Arizona, in parts of Arizona, with that dry weather, being super high up in the middle of the U.S., you get some amazing views of the Milky Way. It's some of the darkest viewing that you can see. So there's places like that. In the Northeast, however, one of the darker sky locations is at Cherry Springs. It's a state park. From here, 2.5-3 hour drive. So further away, but you know, it's worth maybe checking out sometime if you can. There is public viewing. That's a good go-to for a lot of people if they just want to check it out for the night. And then there's also some camping that you can do too. But it's a brilliant sky, and there's no major towns around, so the light pollution is incredibly low, and you kind of get a sense of that in this image. However, this was taken at about 4:30 in the morning. And the story of this image, this happened, let's see, this would have been the 13th. I was there. That was my last night. I left that morning back home, and this was one of the last major things I saw. I was actually over here. My mouse is not coming up in the view. That's unfortunate. I don't know why it isn't. Oh, here we go. Because the window wasn't highlighted. So over here you can see some of the Milky Way there. You can see the Milky Way in this would have been roughly south. And you can see the darker patches and a bit of the glow from the starlight reflecting off the dust and clouds. So, and then over here in the northeastern sky, so this must be more southwestern, this was the sun coming up. So you're getting some sky glow there. It's not light pollution, this is the morning sky, so you're getting the sun rising up. So the Milky Way stretching here to here, and I kid you not, as I was observing the Milky Way for its final moments in the twilight, and I was imaging it with my mirrorless camera, the ground lit up. Like, I thought my flash was going off. I had no idea what was happening. It was incredibly bright. Like lightning was striking or something. And I heard a bunch of people go, wow, all around me. I had to tip back in my chair to get a look, because at that point it had flown over my head. So I had to tip back in my chair, and I caught the last half of it. This was... At the stage I saw it, looked to me like a fireball, but what this is showing to me, this image, it could have been a bolide, which is the next stage up, where it's actually effectively like exploding in the atmosphere, and you're getting all these particles shooting off of it, and multiple stages. You can kind of see that in the regularity of this line. That there's multiple stages of brightening and of material being thrown off, and you can see its brightest point right here. So the sheer size, think about the sheer size of this. We're looking at almost the entire sky. This location here was these trees. While there is a tree line, they were much further away than you might be used to. I know it's a little. They were definitely further away than up here. So you got a really huge view from horizon to horizon of the sky, and no building obstructions. Everyone has tents and cars; those aren't going to obstruct your view at all. The only obstruction are the trees. So effectively, you're getting a full, 180-degree view of the sky. This was from my 360 camera, and it's almost taking up half of that view. It's like a 90-degree arc across the sky that it tracked across, and it was just a massive meteor, and definitely a good way to end that trip, I gotta say. It was cold at that point. I was freezing. After this, I went to go warm up in my car, because at that point I was like, well, good way to end it. The sun's coming up anyhow. We'll leave it at that. And I ended up sleeping in my car because that was enough to warm me up. I don't know where all these notifications are coming from. So, that was memorable. Very memorable experience. In fact, I was so shocked in the moment, and at that point so tired as well, that I was regretting that I didn't catch it on my mirrorless camera. because I was pointed in that region at the Milky Way, right around here where Sagittarius and Scorpius are. Right in here, this was probably my frame, my field of view. You can see, so the start of it was just out of reach there. And I didn't even think that I had my 360-degree camera running, and that I probably caught it. So it was only just this morning, after I had rested quite a while, overnight, that I realized, oh, I bet it's on that camera view, because I had it running. There's no reason the only reason I wouldn't have caught it, or at least all of it, is if it happened during one of the intervals. So my shots on this camera were 20-second exposures with a 3-second interval in between each exposure. So it could have been that I would only catch part of it. This was probably 5 seconds, though. Let's take a look at another view of it. There's another one. It's basically the same, like, sort of fisheye view, but jetting straight down, which I thought was sort of neat. So I just rotated this image effectively. I have a few more, though, to show you. It's all the same frame that was taken by the 360 camera, but because of the nature of that type of photography, you can sort of manipulate it in different ways to show you different perspectives, because you're recording an entire view of the sky. So we'll take a look at a couple of those. Let's skip to the next one just to give you a better idea of that. Yeah, there's another one. So it's almost framing up where you're getting a more natural view. Of course, it's curved and warped because of the lenses and the way the software is generating the image. So what else was I going to say about this? So yeah, I didn't know it was going to be on my 360 camera until I realized it this morning. And I went to go look, I found the frame, and there it was. And because you can see it brightens up here and then dims down, I'm pretty confident that was the full exposure of that meteor. That I'm not missing any of it, especially based on that my framing of my mirrorless camera was in this region right here. So I'm incredibly happy with the result here. Take a look at another frame. There's more of a focus on the Milky Way here and the meteor. You can see it does it, and I remember seeing that. I did catch this part right here. This is where, probably right here, is where I started watching, and I caught the big explosion moment, the big fireball. Right here is where it would jettison a bunch of material and then dim down. I caught that latter half, didn't catch the first half. That was where all of a sudden the ground started lighting up. And do I have one more? Yeah, I've got one more. So a brilliant way to end this journey. And this convinced me I'm going back at some point for sure. Well, most of the images I was able to obtain convinced me, but this was just such a great way to end things. There were other meteors that night too, some bright ones. I saw a couple of brighter ones, and because it's so dark, you can see a bunch of dim ones. I'm sure the Perseids are amazing there. Last thing I want to mention, and I don't have the frames to show you the comparison, but can you see how these tents, I think this is my tent over here, this green one, and this was one of the our Astro Society members and educators here, Art Cassiola, that's his tent. You can see how they're lit up a little bit, but the light coming off of those tents is not indirect sunlight, reflecting off the atmosphere here and hitting Earth. Maybe a small portion of it is. Majority of that light is coming from this. And I checked that earlier, because when I looked at the frames, I looked at the frame before, and I looked at the frame after. If it was sunlight, you'd think the forthcoming frames would be brighter. Like the next couple of frames would be brighter. and show you the tents a little bit brighter there progressively because the sun was rising. Not the case. That didn't happen for a few frames later, where you actually got comparable light. So this light was coming from this meteor. That was just one other observation I found. And I do want to do a larger video at some point on Cherry Springs. So you guys that are in the live stream here, you're just getting the first taste of the data I got from this journey. We'll do maybe a larger discussion on it at some point, and I'll definitely have video for you as well. I've got a 360 time-lapse that I'm working on. I only just processed the frames from all the... I recorded it all night, so from sunset to sunrise, I recorded that 360 video, or that batch of 360 frames to turn into a video. So I will put that together at some point, and it will show up on the channel. I'll do similar to the one I did over the summer. I'll have like a 2D version where you will get... what was I going to say? We'll do a 2D version where I'll just sort of frame up the special parts of it because the ISS flies through a couple times. Something like this is a good frame to show in detail. So I'll have a 2D version, and then if you have VR or if you just want to use your phone and look around the sky, I'll have a 360 version for you to try out. So those will be coming in the near future. Like I said, I just processed those videos. So it's just a matter of editing them now. The 2D version will be easier to edit than the 360. 360 takes a while to both edit and then export. It's a lot of data. So that's my thinking for those. Let's go ahead and move on from this meteor. Again, I haven't even posted that. This is the first time, other than people at Copernic, this is the first time the public has seen this image. So I'm hoping I'll post it on social media for people to access at some point in the next day or two. Because this is very raw. I only took a couple of frames, and I still want to do some processing on them to get rid of some noise and just bring the focus on that meteor there. So be on the lookout for those, but I wanted to show you what I had so far. Same with the forthcoming images here. You probably have seen this one before in one of our live streams. This is the Trifid, or M20. Oh, before I move on, Nicholas is asking, can you repeat that, please? I can certainly repeat something. Let me know what part you didn't get, you just caught in the middle of, or what have you. Just let me know what you'd like me to discuss again, and I'll go through these. So this is the Trifid Nebula, star-forming region. You've got these dark nebulas throughout, so those are big, thick clouds of dust that block out starlight. Over here you have the blue part of the nebula. That's a reflectance nebula, so that's starlight reflecting off material. That's giving it a bluish glow. And then the left side is it would be a hydrogen nebula. So that's hydrogen ionized, and it's emitting light. So this isn't emitting light, this is reflecting light. This side is emitting light, and you can tell that by the color difference. So you get that pink color there, blue color there. This image does not have any saturation elements to it. I didn't bump up the saturation of the colors. This is what it looks like when you expose over a 30-second period or so. Some of these exposures are 20 to 30 seconds, depending on their brightness level. You can see there's dark nebula throughout this region, though parts of the sky are being darkened by surrounding dust materials, and that happens a lot for these star-forming regions. Here's a classic that we will certainly explore tonight. This is the Whirlpool Galaxy M51. So you can see this is a set of merged galaxies, the bigger one here, the big spiral, and the small galaxy here colliding. This is sort of a taste of what will happen to Andromeda and the Milky Way in about 5 billion years when they collide. Okay, just refreshing my chat here. So this was probably my best image of Whirlpool so far, and it is stacked. I did a very quick stack on all of these deep sky photos. I didn't take much time to work on the settings at all. I just did a very basic stacking run. So I can probably pull some more detail out of things, but since I wanted to have these for you tonight, this is what the result was from those. And I'm pretty pleased with it already. No major Lightroom editing, and it was from my mirrorless camera hooked up to the scope we're using tonight, my 8-inch Newtonian. You can see there was some star trailing here on these exposures, but not significant enough when you zoom out it does any major blurring to the galaxy itself. You can see there's still quite a bit of detail in the spiral arms and the cores, and the core of this galaxy as well. You're seeing some dark nebula there. And you can even see, I'm not exactly sure what galaxy this is. It's probably an NGC object, not an Messier, because it's so dim. But this is how dark that sky is. And we can do a comparison tonight of a similar exposure of the Whirlpool and see if we can pick up. I'm guessing we'll pick up part of it, but I kept finding that in all my images, galaxies after galaxies showing up, because that light wasn't being dispersed in our atmosphere. So let's continue on here. If it'll let me. Uh-oh. Why did it freeze? It froze on me for some reason, but now we're back. So there's the Trifid. Here's M51. Oh, I'll pause here for a second. Again, our director, Mr. Desker, is saying there will be another ISS pass at 11 p.m. coming out of the west, heading towards the north, reaching a max elevation of 37 degrees and setting in the northeast. So we will try and view that on the all-sky camera a little bit later tonight. Actually, it's only about a half hour from now. So we'll switch over to the all-sky to see if we can catch the ISS. So let's move on from M51 to, this is M81. Yes, and M81 is another spiral galaxy. I actually really like the shape of this one. The arms aren't as defined. They're much wispier. Of course, with longer exposures, you could definitely pull more detail out of those. But my current rig is limited to at most a minute. Usually I can only get 30 seconds out of it for now, until I get some auto-guiding going on that scope to extend the amount of exposure I can get. At that point, I could probably push 2 minutes or more if I get auto-guiding working. Auto-guiding helps track objects in the sky, stay pinpointed on it, because otherwise you will get some star trailing in your images like we saw before. That's M81, a spiral. Here's an irregular galaxy. This is the Cigar Galaxy M82. They are right next to each other. I had to crop this image to zoom in on M82, but over off to the left here, or maybe down here, because I might have rotated it, you could see the spiral arms of M81. That's actually a shot I'd like to get at some point, is these two galaxies side by side together. But I didn't frame it up in this case, because there will be plenty of opportunities for that. Maybe we can try it tonight even. So M81 and M82 are right next to each other, a spiral and an irregular. And you can see there's some really nice colors coming out of this, some brown hues, and this very identifiable dark patch right in the middle, splitting it up into two. Dark nebula, some dusty material in this galaxy. Here is the Pinwheel. Pinwheel is a very bright galaxy as well, not quite as bright as Whirlpool, but it's much larger as well, so you're getting some, you're getting a larger view, just a little dimmer. It's also, just like Whirlpool, face on, so you're getting to see the entire galaxy from above, and you can see these arms just stretch out like crazy. This is why it's called the Pinwheel. You think of a pinwheel, just, especially if it has little attachments to it, it would spin around and throw its I don't know what you'd call them, blades off. You get that angular momentum sort of, and you can see it. That's sort of happening here. You're getting these arms throwing off material, and it's still part of the galaxy. It's not really jettisoning into space per se, but you can just see how much material is coming off of the Pinwheel Galaxy here towards the core, and it's just just like the Whirlpool, a prime example of these spiral galaxies. A massive object here. And again, like we saw before, a lot of these little cloudy objects, there was one, I thought I saw one down here somewhere, but now I lost it. But that's the funny thing about these. Here's one. That's a galaxy. Thought there was one more in this image, but I can't find it. I might have lost it in the editing process. You can also see one satellite interfered. I didn't do anything with it because it was dim enough that it really didn't bother my image too much. But there is a galaxy shooting across right there. Not a galaxy, a satellite shooting across the sky right there. And photobombed my image. Who knows what satellite, but again, dim enough that it didn't bother me, especially after stacking. So that's Pinwheel. I think I have one more. Ah, yes, this was a favorite and something we can, again, try tonight. This is M80... Yeah, I think it's M86 is the main bright galaxy in the center there. However, this is often called the Virgo Cluster. A Virgo Cluster is a huge cluster of galaxies. And each fuzzy dot, up to, maybe not even, there's dots in here, there's larger fuzzy clouds, but every fuzzy little thing in this image is a galaxy, not a star, not an individual star. So you can count the big ones for sure, right? You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 big ones. But you can keep going because there's more fuzzy dots. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Uh, 15, there's one for sure. 16, 17 over here, 18, 19, 20, 21. And there's also some ones that are a little bit tricky. With a longer exposure, you could definitely tell better. But I'm, as of right now, counting about 21. But there's even more in this cluster that my camera just couldn't quite expose at the 30-second level. So this is perhaps one of the objects in the sky that I'm going to place immense focus on improving, getting more detail out of it, doing longer exposures, and seeing just how many galaxies I can count in my images. It's a known quantity. Like this image, this is by no means are these the best quality images of these objects. That's not what amateur astrophotography is about. It's about participating in the observation of these individual galaxies, individual objects. And you're not even that involved in the science, of course. Now, there's always the possibility that you could see something incredible, Like, astronomers across the world saw the impacts happen on Jupiter from the comet breaking up and hitting the surface, hitting the clouds of Jupiter. You can always come across something like that. You never know when it's going to happen, but it's possible. But that's not what, again, it's really about. It's putting your own spin on the objects as well, putting different coming up with new creative methods to display these worlds. I've been told of one, and I can't remember their name, I apologize, but there's one astrophotographer, or astro artist even, who, instead of imaging in the traditional sense, he actually sketches them out. And there you can have, like, think about Starry Night from Van Gogh. You can have some incredible freedom in sketching those out. Now, I think he plays it pretty safe and tries to realistically depict them, but of course there's a style to it all the same. So there's lots of creative opportunities for this, and even more than that, you're looking at galaxies. Like, each of these, a separate galaxy. Not this one, bunch of stars, still cool, but I guess that's what these galaxies are too, a bunch of stars. But this is in our galaxy. These ones are separate galaxies. Each of them with their own solar systems. This one is incredible too. It's a achievable example of the scale of the universe, as compared to something like the Hubble that can pick dark patches of the sky and expose millions of galaxies in one big mosaic frame. So it's something that you can do. This is with my telescope that I brought to Cherry Springs, and it's the one that we're going to use tonight to try and image some more galaxies, some similar ones. So 10:36. We're approaching ISS. I think after the ISS flyover, maybe we can even get one shot in before of some deep sky objects. We can try and find one quick before we move on to the ISS flyover with the all-sky camera. But I'll answer some quick questions here that I have from Joe Wozlowski? Yeah, Wozlowski. What kind of camera are you using for these photos? So this is I'll be using the same camera tonight, and it is a Sony a7 III. And your follow-up question to that was, and what size of eyepieces? So with a camera like a mirrorless or a DSLR, usually your method of photography is going to be using the camera as the eyepiece, effectively, using your sensor as the eyepiece. So with the a7 III, you get an adapter for it, and you, instead of the lens on the camera, you take that off, put on this adapter, and the adapter is designed to fit like an eyepiece. You pop that into the scope, and you're working with something called prime focus, where you want the focal point that would usually go into the eyepiece. You want the focal point there to hit the sensor of the camera. And at that point, you will achieve prime focus, and you will get some imagery. So you're not using any focal instruments on the camera itself. You're using the focuser on the scope to achieve that. And in my case, I actually have to push the focuser all the way in to achieve prime focus on my rig. And that's in part due to the design of the adapter system. I think I am going to work on changing that, because I would prefer to have a little bit more wiggle room. In fact, because my focus system has to be pushed all the way in, the lower part of the focal tube is sticking out into the telescope. So a significant section of the light being collected is being blocked by that focus tube. not major enough to really cause problems, but enough to warrant trying to find a fix. So that's something I'm going to work on, but it won't bother us tonight. So yeah, quick answers there. Sony A7 III, and no eyepieces required for that rig. Using just the telescope. And you can do that with refractors or reflectors. We've done it with the 6-inch refractor here in the dome. We've done it with the 14-inch reflector. And we'll be doing it with the 8-inch Newtonian reflector, my personal scope, tonight. Tonight also serves as a test bed to see how effective using that portable telescope will be. Because, spoilers, I am looking into streaming from Cherry Springs at some point. I'm pretty optimistic it's possible, given that the Wi-Fi speeds weren't great there, but I mean, I'm just thankful there is Wi-Fi at all. That's always a plus. Cellular speeds, however, were pretty close to perfect. So, at least with Verizon, I don't know about others, but in case you're interested in heading up there, that cellular network was pretty strong, and I got some really great, on a speed test, I got some really great results. So, assuming that can be maintained, I may try and do probably a quicker live stream there, maybe an hour and a half long. Something I'm thinking about, and for those that are watching, something to maybe look forward to, because it is something I want to try. Okay, so that is the my early results from Cherry Springs. I even have a couple of other images. I didn't get to frame up the dumbbell nebula yet. I have a bunch of frames for that. And that one's a pretty bright one as well, so it'll look similar to this in clarity. A little bit smaller than Trifid, but some really nice colors from that one. That one's more of a red and green nebula. Here we have a blue and red one. So really getting into the colors of these astro objects. Alright, I'm going to switch this back to the Zwo camera, which is our Owl Sky camera this evening. For those just getting in, the All Sky camera shows you a 180-degree field of view of the sky, effectively showing you a full horizon-to-horizon view as if you were here with us. Well, actually, it's even not true to the human eye, right? Because we can't see horizon to horizon. We have to move our heads. But this camera can pick up everything and anything that comes its way. So I'm going to get rid of this, and we'll get the All Sky camera back here. Whoops. There we go. Oh, and I didn't cover. I said I was going to cover that. I'm sorry. I got caught up in my scope. Let me go cover up that light that's outside. And we will also bump up the exposure of the sky here. So when I say that, I'm going to increase it from the 5 seconds it's doing now to 10 seconds. Oh, and I'm going to transition. There we go. So there we go. Now we have a brighter view, and you can see the moon has set. There's no glow, or not much glow, coming from the western sky. No Milky Way as of yet. We would have to stay up pretty late tonight. And I don't want to ruin my sleep schedule any more than I have this week because of Cherry Springs. Again, I did stay up all night because the sky was just too good to pass up. So I did see the Milky Way as was shown in that meteor photo. And it was gorgeous there, as it is often at Copernic as well. A little bit more detail though, for sure. Again, because of the dark skies, the darker skies. We don't. There's no town lights around there. It's a very rural area of Pennsylvania, and you don't get any major city or town lights in that space. Refreshing my view of the stream. There we go. So I think it's 10:45. Why don't we watch the sky for a bit? Oh, there might have been a meteor that just flew over the 14-inch dome. Yep, I think that was a meteor, because there no satellite. There was nothing before, I don't think. Let me know if you disagree, but it looked like it flew over the 14-inch dome right here just a few seconds ago. And it also looked like it was something brightening up. Satellites can do that too. They can head into the sunlight, so they will appear to brighten up. But it's more often that it's a meteor that's displaying that. So could be either one, but because it was so brief, I guess it was a small meteor. And that's what the power of the all-sky camera shows us. It's showing us the full view of the sky, so it's great for meteor showers because you have to pick and choose your view of the sky. But with an all-sky camera, you can see just about everything. Now, because of the location of our camera, we are a little bit... no, I don't want to go that far. We are a little bit zoomed... or we're losing part of the sky, rather. The 20-inch there, the 20-inch dome is blocking our view, 14-inch dome as well. Ideally, I would prefer to put the camera further out, but I'm limited in how far my USB extender goes. This one requires a USB 3 extender, whereas my mirrorless camera for its preview only requires USB 2, and there are limits to how big a 3 extender can be. So the 2 can be super long, like we have like a 60-foot cable to use for the regular USB, but the 3 needs to be a set length, so I'm limited on what I can do there. So I think we will wait for the ISS to pass, and then we will go until 11:30 or midnight with some imaging this evening. Again, I wanted to touch base with you all too, because it's been a while since we've done a live stream, and not a general live stream, a observing live stream, and I wanted to make sure we made some use of this clear sky period. It's been clear, I think, for the past couple of days here too, past few days even. But of course, I was down in PA. So flying above the 14-inch and heading towards the 20-inch dome is a plane. You can tell it's a plane by the blinky lights across it. So again, this is a 10-second exposure. So you're seeing 10 seconds worth of light being collected by the camera system and showing you the results of that collection. And that's why you can see the plane is blink, 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 blink. Blinking across the sky. You're seeing several stages of the plane. And heading right towards the 20-inch. It flew right through the Big Dipper, which you can see here. Here's the handle, and here's the cup. the handle, the 2 stars in the 2 stars in the cup, the end 2 stars point right to Polaris, the North Star. So there's Polaris, and the Little Dipper swings upwards this way. We can just about make it out, although the stars in the Little Dipper are very dim compared to the Big Dipper. So use this trick if you're trying to find the North Star. We'll just continue to watch the sky here. Again, it's no substitute. All sky camera is no substitute for visual observing yourself. I don't think camera reviews will ever be really a substitute for that, but it's the next best thing. And again, there are advantages, like I said, of getting to see the entire sky, or at least most of it, compared to what you can see with your eye. So you won't miss a thing this way. But again, getting to stark sky locations like Copernic or Cherry Springs grants you the ability to see so much more than you can in your town or city areas. There you can only see the bright stuff. Get to a dark sky location and the sky opens up to you completely. So you get to see bright stars, dim stars, constellations you've never seen before, galaxies, nebulae, planets, the Milky Way. So much to see out there. Satellites. Maybe those ones aren't as exciting. But the ISS can be exciting, for sure. Some satellites get in our way, though, when we're imaging, like we saw before. All right, so Joe Wazlowski is asking here, could you talk about the nova near Cassiopeia? And I personally was not aware of this. It sounds like... Now, I don't know what it's been doing over the past... the past couple days. Let me see if I can find a more recent article than this. Here's Earth Sky. This is a good, more up-to-date site, I think. This is a good discussion to have while we're waiting for the ISS to fly over. So I thank you, Joe, because I had not seen this at all. It was first spotted in March. It's called Nova V1405. Cass, because it's in Cassiopeia. Flared brightness over the past week. March 18th, it was a magnitude 9.6, which is not visible to the eye. But you could get it in a scope with a camera system for sure. A few days later, brightened to 7.6, and now the nova is at magnitude 5.5. So with good eyesight, you can spot it with your eye, and it could definitely be better spotted through telescopes or binoculars if you have them. So I gotta figure out exactly where this is, because it's something we could hunt for tonight. Oh, it's not too hard to find. Smack dab in between Cassiopeia and Cepheus. Almost right in the middle of those two constellations. That won't be too bad. And you can also nearly use the two stars at the end of the W in Cassiopeia to draw a line out to the nova. So if I go into Stellarium here, I can show you what I mean. We're going to go back to live time. Cassiopeia is just rising in the northern sky here. So like I said, you can draw a line out right here. Then it says not far from M52. Let me bring up my... that should be near... Oops, wrong one. Where's my info? I always forget I turn it off for the sake of simplicity on the intro while we're waiting for the stream to start. 152, where are you? There it is. Salt and pepper cluster. I was trying to observe that. Cherry Springs. Brightened up too fast, though, because I should have started. It's kind of silly of me. But I got so caught up in the Milky Way that I just was imaging there forever. I should have gone to the northern sky, but I just didn't make it. Needed one more night, but at that point I was getting too cold. So that's the salt and pepper cluster. And they said it should be near there, so let's see how close. Depending on how close, I could go there. And we're planning a hunt for this. M52, oh, and near NGC 7635. Within 2.2 degrees. So if I go to M52, I can almost... maybe. I can close to guarantee that it would show up. Yeah, it should show up in my... Given how small M52 is, if we go to M52, the the Nova should show up in my field of view for my camera. So we might go try and stay up tonight to get Cassiopeia above the horizon there and try and spot that. That might be the last thing we do this evening, so remind me of that, and we will try and hunt for Nova Cas 21. I think that's what I'm looking at. We must be looking at a similar thing, because I am on Earth Sky. They have a really nice article about it, if anyone wants to learn more. And also learn how to find it, because it is visible through your eye if you're in a dark enough location. It's not a super bright nova as of right now by any means. It's not like it's going to be as bright as Venus or anything like that as of right now. But reasonably bright enough to see through binoculars easily and see with your eye in a dark sky location. So we'll go on the hunt for that. The ISS should be flying over very shortly now, though. And again, to refresh my memory, 11 p.m. coming out of the west, heading towards the north, reaching a max elevation of 37 degrees. Heading towards... Yeah, it should clear the domes. I'm looking at the field of view here. On our all-sky camera, if we look here is the northern sky. Again, because of Polaris. Wait, hang on. Yep, there's Polaris. Here's a little dipper, and here's Polaris. So this corner is nearly due north. Oh, I forgot to mention, too, we have some astronomers from the KAS up here. That's our Copernic Astronomical Society. So you will see the 14-inch and the 20-inch domes moving tonight in the all-sky camera view. You'll see that those domes changing throughout the night. Cassiopeia will be rising up this way. So it should, in the western sky, that's about up here. Southern sky is over here, eastern sky is over here. So it's going to appear from the west and set in the north. It should clear the 14-inch dome. At 37 degrees and where the camera is, I'm pretty confident of that. But just be on the lookout. And I'll get my mouse out of the way so we don't mistake it for the ISS. Oh, let me see if I can find the RA deck, because I could just punch that in. But it'd be interesting to see M52 M52 and the Nova at the same time. If I can make that work in my images. This is exactly what I want our experience to be in our streams. I love moments like this where we get started on a new finding and started on that conversation, and then it turns into something we can actually like hunt down in the sky. That's so cool. Sorry, I'm just finding the RA and declination just to have. Here we go. Just going to take a quick picture of that so I have it when I go out. There we go. Alright, how's our all-sky camera doing? Any IS... Oh, maybe? Oh yeah, look at... it's not going to get very high. But if you look right now, it's flying towards the 14-inch. Right here's the ISS. It might show up on the other side. I'm not super confident about that, though. So, there's the ISS. Wave to the astronauts if you're outside watching it now. But it's going to fly right into our 14-inch dome. Oh, no.
You're caught. Did you see me out there?
What?
Did you see me out there?
Oh, no, I didn't.
I was at the
It's such a good night. We have lots of our astronomers up here tonight. Oh, there it is. Yep. Collision, not really, but flying right in to greet one of our astronomers in there now. Let's wait and see if it pops out on the other side. Coming out. It is! Yes, it cleared it. Very good. It's hard to get perspective on the all-sky camera sometimes. Because it's not linear. Really, it's circular, right? It's a circular field of view. So, even though it might not look like it's going to climb, it might because of the curvature. But we're going to lose it momentarily as it heads towards the building. Heading west to north. Glad we had that opportunity to catch the station on our all-sky. And now we can move on to some imaging. I'm going to go set up the telescope on a known object. I will be back, and then we can either observe that, because it's going to be a galaxy, or move on to something else, depending on how it looks. Oh, I need my handy flashlight. While I'm thinking about it, I had it prepped for Cherry Springs. So I have this dark filter on it. I'm going to remove that now. So I need some more light while I'm up here. If I can get it off. Wow, I really taped this on good. Come on. Good trick if you're looking for how to darken a red flashlight or even a white flashlight. Permanent marker on a clear piece of plastic or a red filter. That'll reduce the transparency enough to reduce the amount of light. Really handy for dark locations. But now I'm just going to use my reds. My bright reds. Because I'll be in a room with white light anyhow. Actually, does the red light work? No, that's a white light. Never mind. Okay. Alright, back. Turn my light off. Alright, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to move the all-sky camera. Oh, it's just the... Wait. Is it the dome? Yeah, it's the dome. We're seeing a light coming from inside the dome. I'm like, what is that? Well, that's just some light from inside the 14-inch. I'm going to move the all-sky camera to our small window, and I'm going to show the exposures of deep sky objects in the big window. So we're starting with the Classic. It's a good, bright galaxy to start on. This going, and I'm going to take my first 15-second exposure. Will be good to start, just to get something out of it. Again, these kind of objects are just so dim that at least the A7 III sensor, it can pick up light from it, but it's not very impressive. It's just little fuzzy dots. Whereas when you take a longer exposure, you get a lot more out of it. Why isn't the viewer window coming up? Viewer. Why is this not exposing properly? There we go. Not as centered as I'd like it to be, but might be what we have to work with tonight. Well, let's bring that up. Alright, here we are. Oh, I didn't fix the all-sky camera. Hang on. All-sky needs to be above Stellarium. Uh-oh. I just lost it. Where'd it go? I need a view. Ugh. Well, gotta delete that and add a new one, I guess. think one of the big issues is trying to operate this software with a trackpad, to be honest. That is not ideal. Of course, I could just go find a mouse at some point. Might even be one in this room to use. I gotta crop that. Oops. Come on. There we go. Transition. Okay, so now we got our preview images coming up, and we have our all-sky camera, so we can still monitor the entire sky while we're imaging here. So this was a 20-second exposure at 10,000 ISO for the Whirlpool. Let's bump up the ISO. 25,600, that is. And we'll bump it up to 30 to see if we get any star trailing. And see what we get out of it. And I want to pay close attention to where Cassiopeia will be in the coming hour or so. Maybe. Maybe. It's a very slow climb. There we go. That's a 30-second exposure, and honestly, I'm not horrified by the amount of trailing. It's not. There's trailing. There's certainly trailing. But the galaxy itself is looking half decent, I would say. So again, there's Whirlpool. You can see at this ISO level, you're really collecting quite a bit of ambient light from the surrounding sky. In part probably due to the moon, in part light pollution, and just in part this is what you get from higher light sensitivity with the ISO. The moon is just setting now. So there is Whirlpool. Let's take a couple more before we move on. We've seen the Whirlpool quite a bit, so I do want to try that. We can try the Virgo Cluster. See that happen live here. I think that'll be possible. Has that not happened up yet? Yeah, it's getting there. Yeah, we go to M86. If there's a galaxy that you would like to see, let me know, but I think It's risky if we try. We might not have another opportunity. Let me go look out in the western sky and see if I can still see Spica. If we can see Spica, we can see M86, and we can image that quick before it sets. Where's Gemini here? Oh, I was way forward in time. That's why it was so low. Silly me. I was looking at Cassiopeia and I never adjusted my clock. I was wondering, like, that didn't add up in my head. I'm like, I still had plenty of time with M86 as her spring. So I don't know why that would have changed. Yeah, we can do M86 right now. That's why my brain was all confuzzled. So let's go image that cluster of stars. Not stars, of galaxies. We'll go there right now. I'm going to put my coat on because it is getting a little bit chilly out. Not unbearably so, but... And need my flashlight. Now, the nice part about this scope setup is it ends up being very wide field. So this is ideal for wider sets of objects like M86. Let's take our first image. Do another 30-second because I was okay with the trailing. If I was getting images for this for proper stacking, I might cut back on the shutter speed, just because in a stacked view I wouldn't probably want that much trailing if I was to actually go through and process an image. But for the sake of the live stream, it's better to collect the light than to worry about the quality. Did it not take it? Oh, there it goes. Yeah, we still are a little bit... Everything's getting cut off a little bit towards the bottom, but M86 is right here. We zoom in. There you go. We're getting that batch of clusters. Now, I think there's another batch of clusters that I did not try at Cherry Springs. There's so much you can do. This whole area is just filled with galaxies. M87 might be another one to go ahead and try and find. Yeah, M87's an 8.6, M86 is an 8.9, so M87 is actually called the Virgo Galaxy. A little bit brighter, so we can try that. M87. What else do we want to go for? M89's a little dimmer. M90's dim. Not that we can't image it, but just that it, M100, the blow dryer galaxy. That one's like the Pinwheel. Very similar shape, and it's a face-on. While I'm doing this, we'll take another exposure. M85 could be, maybe. That one's a dim one too. I think M87's our best bet, the Virgo Galaxy, for another cluster of galaxies. But again, they're just all over this region. Hence the name Galaxy Season, or Galactic Spring, as we coined this stream. This won't be the... Whoa, moth, hello. This won't be the last stream on galaxies and spring galaxies that I'll do either. I'm gonna run out of names though. We did Enter the Spring Skies. We did today's Galactic Spring, right? Yeah. So I gotta come up with another one. If we're gonna do one more before we head to Summer Skies. Now, of course, Summer Skies give us early rising of the Milky Way. That's one of the big things about Summer Skies. How'd that next one come out? Oh, not bad, not bad. Again, you can see in these images, galaxy, 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 galaxy. So many just popping up everywhere you look. Is that a galaxy behind M84? We can look. Let's see here. M84 would be right here. Sorry, my zoom's getting a little bit crazy. This is come on. This does not have granular zoom. It's very staggered. It's very hard to get exactly where you want to go. Let's just go to 50 and drag down to M8. Alright, so M84 is right here. This is M86. NGC 4388, NGC 4413, 4425. I don't see... Yeah, I don't quite see one behind. Oh, you're talking about 86. Let's see. You thinking this spot right here, maybe? Sort of in amongst the glow of M86? I would have to think that, yeah. It must be, right? Let's see if Stellarium can help us at all on that front. Some of the super dim stuff it doesn't account for, unfortunately. Yeah, Stellarium doesn't account for that one. It'll account for the bright M86 and some of the dimmer ones surrounding, but it can't account for that. Wonder if a quick Google will help us. M86. M86. A lot of the stuff that's readily coming up is like a label of the cluster rather than M86 itself. I have to imagine that some kind of could be like effectively like a big glob cluster or something like that on the outskirts of the galaxy, or it could be a completely separate one. But some more research is going to be required to narrow that down. It's definitely not a star, right? Like, it's pretty fuzzy. Like a lot of these other fuzzy objects rather than a pinpoint star like we're seeing around there. Good catch, though. We'll have to do some research on that to narrow that down. Do a couple more frames. We'll move on from the Virgo, or part of the Virgo cluster. Yes, we'll have to call Hubble. I agree. Or get the James Webb on it once it gets there. There's another one. Very nice. What is that one called in the left-hand side? Is it an Messier? No, it's an NGC. NGC, the Eyes, Copeland's Eyes, it's called. NGC 4438. I actually quite enjoy the shape of... because the M86 itself is kind of not bland, but you know it's not. It doesn't have a lot of features on it besides the core. The eyes are NGC 4438. You can see the start of some dark nebula within the galaxy, and it's actually quite big too, throwing off a lot of material there. It's an irregular galaxy here, like the Cigar. There's M84, as we said. We'll do one more frame capture, and then we'll move on to M87, see what that cluster looks like. All right. Why don't we bounce on over to M87? Take a look at that one. Before I do, I just want to check on Cassiopeia. What is the all-sky camera showing on that front? I want to get a sense. Hey, what's that? Must be a plane. It's leaving behind a trail. It just doesn't really have blinky lights on it from my viewpoint here. Must be a plane, though. Because it's consistently staying in the image and leaving a trail behind it, so I can't imagine what else it would be besides a plane. Okay. I wanted to see where we are at with Cassiopeia. Our current time. Okay, that's good. Looking in the northern sky here. Alright, so if Cepheus should give me a good idea of where we'll be at when I go out there to switch it to M87. So I'll look for Cepheus. And that's north-northeast. Oh, there's a beetle in here too. Alright, we'll go switch to M87 and I'll go see where Cepheus is. I guess I can see in the all-sky camera maybe. Although the all-sky camera isn't going to be ideal for measuring that. Only because it's closer to the building and we're losing a significant portion of the sky to the observatory from its perspective. Telescope is much further out, able to see more above the tree line and the building, for that matter. So, Little Dipper swings upward. Down from Polaris is the tip of Cepheus. Yeah. Okay. I'll see where that is from the telescope's perspective, because it's not looking good from the all-sky, but we'll see how much. And I'm switching to M87. Yeah, so from the telescope, it looks quite promising. I can see Cepheus. It's pretty well above the horizon, and I can see Cassiopeia. Pretty low in the sky, but that's to be expected from where it was in Stellarium, but I can see it above our tree line, so I can almost definitely get a look at that nova. But we might give it 15 minutes or so to see what happens as it rises up a little bit higher. We'll do some other deep sky, and we'll see if we can find that. Although I do have to be wary about the time, because I know at midnight there's a chance it could cloud up. What's the latest weather report saying? Oh no, it seems like we might be safe until 1. Again, I don't want to stay too late this time around, but I always say that, I think. And maybe... Oh, not... No, that's fine. Okay, let's take an image here of M87 and its cluster. We should be able to get some of the cluster. See what we get. I gotta switch. Oh, you know what? I never switched the text, did I? Oh no. I forgot about that. That's alright. Oh yeah. Galaxy, 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 galaxy. All over the place. Ooh, excuse me. Oh. That was, spontaneous. So, oops, sorry, I skipped over to the other one. Let's find out which, go to M87. Yeah, let's figure out how we're situated here, because there's quite... We want to find out what's what. That's the trick. M87 is going to be the brightest one for sure. Hard to say. This one in theory is brighter. Is it smaller? Could be a little bit smaller. I'm thinking this is M87. These galaxies over here are NGCs. Like I said, just galaxy after galaxy in these views. Alright, what are we gonna hunt for next? M58's kind of dim. Dim too. Not that we couldn't see them, they just wouldn't be terribly impressive. Lots and lots of good ones, like shape-wise, but I just don't have the exposure levels to really pull the detail we need out of them. I don't have the tracking ability as of right now. But I am working on auto-guiding. And once I get that going, we will have much more success on pulling detail from dim objects. Kind of tempted to do a cluster. I know we said galaxies, but M13 is nice and high. Beehive cluster is still low. Oh, you know what we can do? Is this high enough? Yeah, it's pretty high. I'm going to get M81 and M82 in the same image. Because we can get M81 is Bode's Galaxy, the one I showed you earlier in my batch of Cherry Springs photos. And the Cigar Galaxy is the one right after, M82. A bit smaller, but pretty bright and some good detail on it. Both of them have cool shapes and nice features, so I'm going to try and get them in the same view, however. I should be able to do that. Might take some adjustments. And then after this, we'll go and find that Nova, and I think we'll wrap it up for the evening, for the live stream. A little bit of a shorter one tonight, but I want to touch base since it's been some time. And I think we have some clear skies in the coming week, so it may be possible to do another session, maybe do the later part of the night sky, as some summer objects start to rise up, like the Milky Way, and I think that could be fun. We're getting close here to the moon interfering. That's why I want to take this opportunity, if there are in fact clear skies over the next week, to get some spring galaxies, because before you know it, I mean, the next new moon is going to be almost in the summer. This new moon was on Tuesday, so yeah, effectively it will be just a tiny bit, a week or two, week and a half before summer starts. So this is the season of galaxies, and we really want to focus on that. Alright, so let's go get M81 and M82. Flashlight, there we go. Alright, telescope moved to N81. I'm just going to take a quick image here and see what we got, and lower the exposure, just because I need to... Oh, you know what? I think it's already framed up. I think I see it in the live view. Yeah, I think I see them both. I'm pretty optimistic that we'll have them both in view here. Let's do a 30-second and see if that is the case. My wrist locked up for some reason. sorry. Okay. Lornaz says you should do this once a month. That's what we try to hit. Is at least once a month, but ideally we'd like to do at least a couple times. Yeah, there we go. Yep, we're getting both. So here is, can I bring this down a little? There we go. Here is M82, the Cigar Galaxy, and here is M81, Bode's Galaxy. Oops, sorry, my arrow was off. M81, Bode's Galaxy, M82, the Cigar Galaxy. Let's take a few frames of this, because that's cool to get them both in the same view. M81 is a spiral. A really nice spiral, too. It has really sharp, pointed spiral arms. M82 is the Cigar Galaxy in a regular, with a really nice dark nebula in the middle of it. At least that's what it looks like in this image. It might be no, I'm not sure what feature it actually is, because I've seen some pretty impressive images of it that pull out some color in that dark nebula spot. So I have to do more research to determine that. There they are. Take a few more frames of this, and then we'll be on our way to find that nova. It is in what we call our northern nebula. So we'll see if we can get it. Northern nebula meaning the lights from Vestal and Binghamton. Pretty happy with the trailing here, at least. When you zoom in, it's noticeable, but again, as a wide field image, it's not too bad. Oops. I forgot to change the text. My camera must be oriented in such a way that it thinks it needs to present the image vertically. Of course, that's not really sensical, and... Aha, we have a satellite flying through. I'm going to try and image it quick here. Come on. Come on. Oh, I missed it already. Not really good for imaging in general, but just for a little dynamic in the sky for us. it's nice to see in that regard, but it's not going to show up in this image I just took. There we go, flipped again. Do a few more. I'm going to get 2 more frames, and then we'll go hunt for the nova. Did you lose sound? Testing. Let me know if I might just not have been talking. There was a period. Sorry, I was looking at something. But let me know if you can still hear me. My microphone is picking up my audio, so if I lost sound, it's something happening to the stream. Oh, okay, it did sound like I just wasn't speaking. Yeah, sorry, I try to keep the conversation alive, but sometimes I get caught up in one thing. The trouble of doing a live stream, I suppose. Good to see you, Matambali. Doing some Galaxy tours right now. This of M81 and M82. We toured some clusters as well. I wonder why the sound dropped out on your end there, Joe. Not sure what's going on. But, yeah, we're hunting for galaxies. At least we have been for a bit. Thinking of winding down for the night. If you want to check out earlier in the stream, we talked about my trip to Cherry Springs, which is a nearby dark sky location in Pennsylvania. And I showed some images I got from there, including a huge bolide that took up half of the sky, and it was incredibly bright, throwing off a bunch of material. It was very cool. So that image is back there at the beginning of the stream. I'll do some timestamps later on tonight, if not then tomorrow, so people can go back and find those portions of tonight's stream easily. But M81 and M82, Cigar Galaxy and the Virgo Galaxy. Some really nice views. This is through my 8-inch reflector Newtonian, same telescope I used at Cherry Springs. It's my personal scope, and something new I wanted to try. At some point I'll do a video on my rig to show everyone. It's something pretty accessible, I think, for serious amateur astrophotographers, or even just amateur astronomers, if they just want to do visual. But something I couldn't show you tonight just because it was set up outside in the dark. But I'll show it in the daytime at some point. I think I probably came into view at like 9:30. I had the stream going at 9:15 at the latest, I think. We ran into an internet problem early on again. I'm not sure what's going on with this laptop. It's very specifically IP address problems that it's running into, and I don't know why. So, something we have to work on. Sometimes it just has a mind of its own, I guess. I'll take a couple more images of this, and then we're going to go on the hunt for the nova that's in Cassiopeia, or just above Cassiopeia. Newfound nova, I think it was found, if I remember now, back in March. It's been getting brighter, though. Recently got brighter. Bright enough for the naked eye. And I want to thank Joe for bringing that into the conversation tonight, because it was something I was not aware of, but we're going on the hunt for it. One more frame. Cigar Galaxy is kind of moving out of view as the tracking veers off. Like I said, I can't do longer than 30-second exposures on this rig right now because the tracking isn't quite accurate enough to stay dead set on the object, keep it centered, no moving. It will give you star trails at a minute exposure. So what I need to do is work on auto-guiding it. And auto-guiding will allow me to bump up the tracking ability of the mount and give me the chance to do 2-minute or more exposures and get some really good light collection of some of these objects. That's part of the reason why my image is also blown out the way it is, because I had to bump the ISO, the light sensitivity, way up to collect as much detail from these objects as I can. Once I can do longer exposures, I can bring down the ISO and bump up the shutter speed. Alright, that was our last frame for M81 and M82. So now we will carry on to the nova. For those interested, this is called Nova, what is it? Nova V1405? Yeah, V1405 CAS. CAS being the abbreviation for Cassiopeia, because it's in that region of the sky. It should be near I already forgot it, M52. So I'm going to try getting M52 in and see just how big the field is. If I find that I can't fit M52 and the nova in at the same time, then we will just go right to the nova. So, also, I want to be clear for anyone was wondering about a nova. It's different from a supernova. Supernovae effectively blow up the star, and they're such massive explosions that sometimes the result of it can produce a singularity or a black hole. Nova is different. Nova is a period of brightening in a star's life cycle. And it might be a dying star, an aging star. Often it is, but usually it will return to its regular magnitude. In this case, the star has continued to brighten. It's not expected to go supernovae or anything like that. It will eventually return back down to its original magnitude. But right now it's at a magnitude of 5. When they first discovered it, it was as a nova. It was a magnitude of 9.5 or something like that. So it's really quite bright at this point, visible through binoculars or a telescope for sure, and in a dark sky location visible to your eye. So let's go ahead and jump to M52 and see if we can spot it. Like I mentioned earlier, it is in our northern nebula. Our northern nebula being the lights from Binghamton. So I worry that parts of this image are going to be blown out quite a bit. But we can do our best to mitigate that. I think maybe I see the cluster. Let's just see what happens. I'm going to reduce the ISO though, because at this point we're in a very bright part of the sky from the light pollution. So I'm going to reduce the ISO so the image doesn't get completely blown out. And we're going to reduce the shutter speed to 20 seconds. Let's see what we get. Change the text on my screen here. And you can see after it looks the same, like the brightness of the image looks the same as our 25,000 ISO 30-second exposure. So here's that, and here's that. Like, we reduced the ISO, and we reduced the shutter speed, but the ambient brightness of the image, where it should be dark space, is incredibly bright. So here's M52. M52 is a star cluster. It's also known as a salt and pepper cluster. It's a really nice, I think that's an open, yeah, it has to be an open star cluster because of the spacing there, I would think. They're not terribly close together, but we should confirm that. We shouldn't just say things. Sounds like we all have our own light pollution nebulas. Yeah, I guess if we wanted to be... We call it the Northern Nebula, but I guess if we wanted to be specific, it's the Binghamton Vestal Nebula. Where am I here? I'm getting lost in my tiredness, I think. Still working on fixing my sleep schedule from staying up all night at Cherry Springs. But I guess it's good that I'm tired at night again. Here we go. Looking in the north here. And we're looking at M52. I'm on Stellarium right now trying to find this here. M52 is a what? What kind of cluster are you? It is open. Yeah, it's an open star cluster. I thought so. Just based on the spacing, it wasn't super condensed. It's one of the bigger open star clusters I've seen, though. For sure. Alright, let's see if we can narrow down where this nova is. Yep, I thought so. I think I know. I think I see it. But let's check the stars nearby. So there's I want to say it's this one right here, based on its magnitude. Oops, too far. Yeah, I sort of have the Earth sky image opened up here on the left, and on the right hand side, I'm looking at what you're seeing. Compare. Trick is mine oriented the correct way? Ah, here we go. I found an interesting line of stars that is helping me out here. So you have these 4 bright Earth stars near M52. We count 1, 2, 3, 4, a sort of line. And then there's another sort of grouping cluster of stars right here. Let's see, this one should be, wait, this one, thought I had it. 1, 2, 3, 4. You have this grouping here. You have these 2 stars here. And you have this triangle of stars here. You have those 2 stars there. Yes, this is the nova. Right here. So Nova Cast 21 or what else? V1405 Cast Nova. I'm seeing it referred both ways. I'm not exactly sure of the distinction. Maybe we'll switch this. That one sounds better to me that way. So NovaCast 21 and M52. That's pretty awesome. So I'm going to even reduce, because of the brightness, I'm going to reduce the ISO even more. See if we can get a darker image out of this. We're at 10,000 ISO now at a 20-second exposure. Let's reduce the ISO to 4,000, see what we get. Yeah, great job, everyone. Good team effort on this front. Thanks, Joe, for informing us about this, and Linda for getting us on the Deep Sky, or not Deep Sky, Earth Sky, right? Yep, earthsky.org, and narrowing down where we can find it. Like I said, this is exactly how I want the... how I rather, not how I want, but how I I just appreciate how this plays out in our live streams and how we can work together to find things and discover new things in the sky. Yep, so M52 and Nova 21. Nova Cast 21. Nice. So we darken things a little bit. We could even go a little further. Maybe reduce the shutter speed one step. Oh, we'll see what we get out of this one, because I think I will frame up a few shots. Maybe get... I don't think... The only benefit to stacking this would be noise reduction, but I think it's worth it, so I'll do some of that once I get to the camera settings I want. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that, I think. 15-second exposure. Let's see, do I like this one? Let's go to the eye doctor. Number 1 or number 2? Number 1. There's a satellite flying in my view. You couldn't see it, unfortunately, because I don't have the live feed up today, but just flew into the camera. Number 1 or number 2? Number 1 or number 2? There's not really any noticeable difference, except for some star trailing in the 20 seconds. I'm going to keep it on 15, and we're going to get some frames from this 15-second exposure at 4000 ISO. And we'll wrap up the evening with this finding of the Nova in Cassiopeia. You may have actually been able to see that satellite in the all-sky camera. It seemed pretty bright in my image, so it might have shown up there. Yeah, I think I appreciate that. I could kind of mitigate that contrast in post-processing, but it's never easy. So if you don't need the extra light sensitivity, I find it's just a better choice to mitigate it all at the start of your imaging. You don't have to worry about it later. And these stars I can get to brighten up after the fact, too. How about that? We found a nova. We didn't find it, didn't discover it, but we found it. We did locate it. Which I think is part of the citizen science vibe we're going for here. I'm going to do maybe 20 frames of this. You don't need that many. There's not a lot of noise. And it's mostly just stars in this image. But I always like to have multiples. Always good. So we determined, I think, that this one here, this goldish colored one, is the nova. This bright one, right there. If there are any final objects anyone would like to see tonight, again, it is Galaxy season, so if there's a galaxy that you want to see that we haven't observed yet, let me know in the next couple minutes here as we take our frames of the Nova. And we can definitely observe one or two more objects if you like. Otherwise, we will close out the stream for this evening once I'm done capturing these frames. If anyone has any final questions, do let me know. Yeah, thank you both for the adventure in the stars tonight. The unexpected one on my part. I find that I've been speaking to my phone because that's where the chat is. I'm sort of subconsciously doing that. I gotta work on speaking to you through the camera rather than speaking to my phone. You're not on my phone. That's just where I'm monitoring the chat because it's easier that way. Oh, we got a satellite in this one, you see? There it is. It's happening more and more. Alright, I'm sort of just feeling out how many frames I've taken. I'm not really watching it too closely. It's what I did during Cherry Springs too, is I was just like, oh, I'll just see how many frames I feel like getting. Usually ends up being enough to stack. Leo triplet. M65. It's a 10.25 magnitude. I might be able to catch the tail end of that. It's actually, it's an unintentional pun. It is the tail end of Leo that these objects are in. That's funny. Yeah, those might be bright enough. We could try that to end the show. We should end the Galactic Spring on Galaxies. Let me take 2 more frames of the Nova here. Thank you for the suggestion, Lornez. That one looks like we should be able to get them all in our wide field frame here. I'm hoping. Let's see, is it good? I'm going to go to M66 as the brighter one. Yeah, M66 is the one to go to. How's that one look? That's a pretty nice spiral. Not as bright as Whirlpool, but it'll show up for sure. One more frame. Alright, I'm taking one more frame. I'm gonna, while it's finishing up its last 15-second frame, I'm gonna go out and switch to I already forgot it, M66, was it? Yeah, M66. And you can have your final look at the Nova Cast 21 there. The Nova that just happened back in March. But brightened up this past week. Alright, let's see what we got. Oh, there was a satellite in that last frame, huh? Right there. Another one. Oh, I think I'm already seeing them in the live feed. Tiny little blobs of galaxies. They're pretty cool that they're already showing up in the live view. Alright, we're gonna need more ISO here. Let's bump it up to 10,000. We're gonna need more shutter speed. 25 seconds. I'm gonna change while it's doing its exposure. And then I'll change this here. Yeah, that was a good one. Good suggestion. Again. Lornaz, very nice. Let's see. This one's very cool. Hamburger Galaxy. How bright is that one? 9.48. That's an NGC, not even a Messier. M65 and M66. I called it M66 just because that's the brightest one here, but why can't I find my viewer? There it is. So this is M66, this is M65, this is the brightest of them. And here's the Hamburger Galaxy, which is an NGC catalog, not a Messier catalog. But there's quite a nice amount of detail there. You can see how big it is. You can see the dark nebula line, or the shadow of the galaxy stretching right in the middle, and the core at the center. Very much like the Sombrero. That looks a lot like the Sombrero Galaxy, at least at this brightness level. And again, I'm tempted to push it to 30. We'll get some trailing, but we might get some more detail out of things. And if this doesn't work super great, then we can try, what was it? Oh, the ISO. Bump that up a little bit. Yeah, too much trailing for my liking with 30. We'll go back to 25. And I'll bump this up. 25,600 ISO. Maybe take a couple frames there. Yeah, you can see how much bumping up the ISO increases the ambient light. But if we get some good detail there, How about on the hamburger? Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Let's get a couple frames of this, and then we'll call it a night. So in summary, we got to look at the all-sky camera, which is still going, still running off to the side there. I'm not sure if anything interesting has happened in the last hour or so, but it's there. We did see the ISS through the all-sky camera at around 11 o'clock. These timestamps will be posted. We saw M81, the Whirlpool Galaxy. Wait, M81, right? I don't know why. All the Messiers get confusing sometimes. M81. No, M81's Bode's Galaxy. M51, right? M51 is Whirlpool. Yeah. So we saw M51. We imaged that. We saw the cluster in Virgo, the two clusters in Virgo. We did see M81 and M82, which are Bode's Galaxy and the Cigar Galaxy. We got to see a nova. And we got to see this Leo triplet, which are the three galaxies here. So I'd say a pretty successful evening of galaxies and stars. And it also didn't cloud up. As early as we thought it might. So that's a nice bonus. Yet if there's anyone new watching, I'm not sure. I see the ticker, the viewer ticker moving from time to time. So if there is anyone new watching, we welcome you to subscribe and look out for future observing sessions and upcoming content, both presentations from various lecturers around our area and even beyond. Let's get another frame here. And we have a really nice community of people that tune in on these streams, and we chat and have a lot of fun. So my next goal here is to get auto-guiding working on both my scope and the 14-inch. The 14-inch will give us a much more zoomed-in view, so I could actually zoom in on these galaxies. And then once we auto-guide, we can take super long exposures of them. And then my telescope would effectively be the wide field. Or we, at this point, would effectively be bypassing the 6-inch only because it's trickier to find these objects. It does not have a go-to system per se. Mostly a tracking system. Although it does have encoders in it that allow it to you can move the scope using some computer software, move it to certain objects in the sky, and try and pinpoint it that way, which is effective. And as long as it's tracking you, that's pretty good. I'm going to do 3 more frames, I think. That'll give me 10 good ones to go by. One more after this. All right, last one. You can see from frame to frame, it should be coming across on the feed here, that the galaxies are scooting and the stars are scooting up a little bit. That's showing you that the tracking isn't perfect. That's where auto-guiding comes in. Alright, and with that last frame, I want to thank everyone for tuning in tonight. If you haven't liked the video already and you did enjoy tonight's content, please hit that thumbs up. Helps to show your support. And keep on the lookout for future observing and presentation live streams, both our Friday night live programs and our Night Sky live programs. And sometimes daytime observing with the sun. We'll see what comes up there as well. So, thank you again, and we will see you next time. Bye, everyone.